Y'all, I don't know what's going on with this thing. I'm going to rebuke and bind the devil tonight. No, no, no. We're not doing this. Okay? I'm just like, no. I know it's an attack. I know it's an attack. Just okay. Anyway, y'all, I've been on my spiritual journey, and let me tell you something. The enemy is gotten busy with me. I rebuke and bind him in the name of Jesus. Oh my goodness. Whew. I mean, just really. He's relentless, bro. I don't understand. Anyway, I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep going. It is what it is. So, we were talking about unresolved trauma. We're talking about reasons why people get stuck in healing. Okay? So, that's what we're talking about tonight. I want to apologize for the technical difficulties. I have no idea what's going on. There's nothing wrong with my internet, and there's nothing wrong with, like, I have nothing else on, so I have no idea what's going on. I really don't. But anyway, so the last part of this is we're talking about how it keeps us stuck in toxic cycles. And I was saying that most people, all right, whether you're dealing with a male or a female, right, need at least a season on their own depending on the length of the relationship. So if you've been in a relationship for years, you need a solid year on your own. Okay? Some people may need more time on their own. Some people may need less time on their own. Well, no, don't go less. A solid year. If you've been in a relationship for years, you need a year. Right? If you've been in a relationship for a little less than a year, they say about a season, right? 3 to 6 months. 6 months is a great sweet spot, I think, for any relationship, really. 6 months is a great amount of time to really be sure you're ready for the next situation. But at least if it's been years, a year, right? And that's with nobody you're actually tied to for real, for real. That's like, no, I'm not talking to somebody. You know, you might go casually, whatever, but it's no one's holding you accountable for anything, right? It's just fun. It's light. There's no promises. I mean, like some people, they want to do single, but they're not single. They're in situationships, but they're single. No, I'm saying no situationships, no consistency. We're just moving. Okay. You might like a girl, whatever, but your headspace is I'm leaving her alone until I'm really ready for something for a year after that breakup. Now, after that year time, it's really up to you what you decide to do. But it looks like most men, especially after serious relationships, around the year and a half, 2 year mark, decide they want to get in something serious again. That's when their head's like, you know what? I kind of want to be back in something that means something to me, right? And that's very good. Here's the thing that I think, like I was saying, there's a in between. There's some people that they jump into relationships too fast. And then there's some people that because of what has happened, it keeps them stuck. And it doesn't allow them to try to move forward because they're afraid of being vulnerable. They're afraid of opening themselves up again. They're afraid of being disappointed. They don't want to put themselves in that position. They've been hurt. They've been heartbroken. And those are all valid reasons. But here's the thing, you guys, the enemy is very, very crafty. The enemy wants to keep you isolated. That's part of, if you look it up all throughout the Bible, the enemy tries to isolate you in order to keep you in a certain holding pattern, right? There's legacy and there's beautiful things that come with having a family with somebody. Especially men that are married, I find that come from a marriage, they do a lot better when they're married. I mean, I know men don't like to hear that. Men like, no, I'm good, man. I don't need no woman up in my house. Like, who needs that? Like, come on, deep down inside, you and I both know y'all miss some estrogen up in that house, okay? Some consistent estrogen that you don't have to do a whole lot for. She's just there, and you just walk around and there's a female around your house. We could just, let's stop the game. Stop the cap, okay? That's why men get married again. It just is what it is, and that's fine. I feel like we would be a much better society if we could just be honest. I'm not saying you got to be honest with everybody, but just be honest with yourself. Be like, hey, you know what? I'm starting to miss some consistent estrogen energy. I'm starting to miss that. I'm starting to desire that again. And that's cool. That's why we're doing this live. Because I don't think there's enough spaces for men to be just honest about that. Like, hey, I'm a man, right? Like y'all are men. Y'all deserve to want women around. Like it'd be a little weird if you didn't, right? Like it's like I kind of want somebody around me. I kind of like the companionship. I kind of like having or just having somebody that I know has my back consistently and that I have their back as well. That's the kind of that's normal, right? And if you don't, can y'all see me? I don't know what is going. I really have no idea what's happening. Oh. Okay. A cool woman is all us men want. I think that that's true. I think a lot of men do want a cool woman. I think they want a woman that they feel like they can be themselves around. A woman that they can laugh with and I'm trying to think. I think, I'm just going off of conversations I've had. I think most men want a cool woman who's attractive, somebody that could be, your friend and somebody you would like to sleep with. Like it's like somebody you want to touch. Somebody you like their energy and they cool and they're attractive to you. I think that all men desire that. And I think that that's a beautiful thing to desire. I don't think that it should be demonized. I don't think it should be criminalized. I don't think it should be called a simp. That is normal. That is, you are a man. And men desire women or desire companionship. Not all men desire women, of course. We know that. But I'm saying desire some type of love and companionship in their lives. Okay? So I want to first say that first and foremost. Don't feel like you're like out of the box because you desire a woman. I feel like that's today's society just not being realistic. Like, come on, I'd be lying to y'all. Let's be real. I'd be lying to y'all if I said, oh, I like being on my own. I do like being on my own. However, I'd be lying if I said, oh, I never want to be around another man. I never want to live with another man. That's a lie. That would not be true. Even if I've been hurt, it doesn't mean that I just don't want a man. That's not true. And I just think that sometimes, our society, we don't know how to differentiate. We don't know how to kind of find the middle ground. So that's what this is about. Okay. So I don't want anybody as we go into 2025, which some of you guys don't know, 2025 is Jubilee year. It's the year restoration and renewal. Right. And I think a lot of people might be holding on to hurt. I know that I've held on to hurt. I'm not going to sit here and say that y'all haven't and I have. I've definitely held on to hurt, okay? And it's been hard for me, if I'm being honest, like to connect with people because of that fear of being hurt again, because of that fear of being betrayed, right? I don't want to go through that again. And so I think that there's a lot of people that are held back because of the pain they've experienced in their past. They don't want to go down that road. They don't want that. And I have I realized like recently, like I have a super fear of being disappointed, a super fear of being disappointed. Like, I mean, it's like crazy. Like this fear of being disappointed it's overwhelming to me. And so I think that we all have that. We all have that. And I want to normalize that, because we've all been through things, but I don't want that fear, even in my own life, to paralyze me from not moving. Right? Because we don't know how much time we have. We don't want to waste our time staying in a space and staying stagnant when God has more for us. Right? So let's get into. So we talked about how unforgiveness keeps you stuck in toxic cycles. So let's say something happened in your past, right? John just said, thank you, John, for the super chat. He said, your messages have been speaking to me a lot lately as I've been held back by the past. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't want you or anyone else to be held back, but I've been held back by the past. I told you guys, like, I'm scared of being hurt. I'm scared of being, like, I'm scared. You opening yourself up again, it's scary. I know, I get it. Like, I'm scared of being vulnerable. I get it. But I think that what we've done is normalize that and say we're just not going to connect with anyone, which isn't healthy for you either, because that just reinforces you being lonely, right? That's not what's in your best interest either. Okay, the extreme of like no women and I'm never going to connect with a woman again, forget women, that's not healthy. Like I said, around the 1.5 to 2 year mark after being single or outside of a relationship, most men desire that connection again. And I'm here to say that that's okay. That's okay. Do it. Figure it out, right? Find you a quality woman. At this point, your eyes are a little bit more clear. You can see what's quality and what's not. Don't choose what's not quality. Choose you a quality woman and try again, right? But anyway, let's keep it moving. But that unforgiveness, that resentment that you have towards your past relationship, that can keep you stuck. That can keep you stuck, and it can keep you stuck in a multitude of ways. I said this on the live the last time. I said that I started having anxiety issues. I was starting to not be able to sleep at night. I was just had a persistent fear, and this is from a breakup back in when I was in my 20s, right? This is maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, exactly 10 years ago, actually. 10 years ago when I was struggling with I'm sleeping, I'm having issues. Like I was going through a transitional period in my life, and I was just struggling, and I didn't know what it was. But I knew it was affecting my cognition. It was affecting my ability to sleep at night. I was just all over the place. And so what ends up happening is I go to a therapist, and the therapist is telling me to forgive. And I'm like, forgive? What does that got to do with me not sleeping at night? And what I realized was that resentment built up so much for me that I was not functioning at my optimal capacity. That even though I was going to work and I finished my grad school program, I had gotten my master's by that point. Because I hadn't forgiven myself, because there was things that I could have done better, and I hadn't forgiven the person that had hurt me, I was staying stuck. And I didn't realize I was stuck. I didn't know I was stuck, but I was stuck, right? And so because of that, it was affecting my sleep. It was affecting my anxiety. It was affecting like just the way that I saw the world at that time. And so I had to forgive. That was one of the first things I had to do. Right? And this is, again, 10 years ago. And so I wrote a letter. She had me write a letter where I wrote everything out that I felt about that person. Some of you guys are musical. Write a song. You know, I'm not saying release a song. But sometimes writing music, writing poetry, writing something to express everything that you feel about your past it's not for you to go back to your past and say, here's the letter. This is for you and you, right? You write this letter, you read it out, you release it, you burn it. Some people burn it, they put it in a campfire somewhere, they burn it in a fireplace, they burn it, right? And it's just a release. Like, I'm releasing this. I've said everything that I've wanted to say, I release it, right? And the reason why this is important is because sometimes the things that we don't say is what's keeping us stuck. I'm going to say that again for some people, because some people suppress. They don't share. They don't say what's going on. They're not being real about how this really hurts them or how this really affects them, right? They just push it down. Especially men. They suppress. Oh, I'm good. No, I don't care. I don't care. You do care. It does hurt. It's okay to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have justifiable hurt. Just say that. We cannot heal what we do not reveal. You know, if you're sitting down with me and you tell me something, I'll be like, how did that make you feel? How did that's a real trauma. You experienced something. That's real. And you don't have to be too strong to say that it did hurt. Like, that was messed up. That was wrong. I think you heal faster being honest about it. Instead of saying, you know what, I don't care. You do care. And the thing is, you're not wrong to care. You're not wrong for being pissed off. You're not wrong for your heart being broken. You're not wrong. You're actually right. That was an effed up situation. This should never happen. But I don't think we allow the space for you to feel validated right? Because if you don't share what happened, then you're looking for the person who did it to validate you. And so you're looking for someone who may never apologize to validate your experience with them. And they're not. Because if it's like any normal person, unless they have a coming to Jesus moment, they're not going to say sorry. They're going to find a reason why you're at fault for what they did. That's why it's good to go to somebody else to validate your experience. Like, no, that was messed up. She was absolutely out of pocket for that. Completely wrong. Because she's not going to admit that. You're going to be waiting your whole life for an apology for her. She going to be looking at you like, no, it's because you did blah, 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 blah. And that's why I did blah, 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 blah. And so now you mad because I did da, 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 but you did da, 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 da. So does it feel the same way? Women going to take you on a whole roller coaster ride with that one. They going to take you, in Georgia, we have a roller coaster called Goliath. She going to take you on Goliath. Because she's never going to say that what she did was more wrong than what you did. Never. So it's good to go to somebody that is able to see the thing that objectively and say, no, that was wrong. Instead of waiting on the apology from the person who may never apologize. Never. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to men for real. Like, just, if there's a space where you can share it, whether it's a voice note, you could do a voice note on your phone as if it's her. I want you to talk in the voice note as if it's her. I want you to say it in the voice note. I don't know what the girl's name. Let's just come up with a name. Susie, you know what? I loved you, girl, and I would have given you the world. But you decided you was going to sleep with my friend, and I'm not cool with that. That was on some, you just go in. You want some hoe stuff, blah, blah, blah. I probably can't say that on YouTube. But I'm just saying, like, you give all that to the voice note. Say everything you want to say. Hold nothing back. Understand that you may never have this conversation with this person. Closure is a one-on-one process. You don't need to have a closure conversation with her. You need to have a closure conversation with you. And then you have that conversation. You say everything you need to say. And then you say, you know what? I'm releasing this. As soon as I play this thing one more time, I'm releasing this. I'm no longer going to. This is my release. This is the last thing. Even if you guys are still entangled in some way, let's say you have kids or whatever the case may be, it's not about that. It's about you releasing the angst towards her. You releasing what happened in the relationship. And now you're able to move on. She just wasn't the one, right? You find out a lot about people on the other side of a breakup. Let's be very clear. You find out a lot about a lot of people on the other side of a breakup. You find out who they are, what they're capable of, all different types of stuff. And so you might find on the other side of a breakup that thank God that this happened. Thank God that she didn't take me back. Thank God she didn't, let me just come back into the relationship. Thank God I was able to see this, because this is not the type of person I would ultimately want to tie my legacy to. You have to start thinking deeper, family. Right? And then you got to start saying to yourself, you know what? I'm letting this go. I am not going to allow this particular situation to stop me from moving forward. Women that are listening to me, the same thing. I'm not going to let no man stop my future. No. Absolutely not. I wrote a 4-page letter. To my ex. I said everything I want to say. And guess what? Ripped it up. Threw it in the fire. Closure was a one-on-one conversation. Me and me had a conversation. And me let that thing go. Me gave that person that power. And me took that thing back. And you have that same power within you too. So I'm at a place right now in my life where I'm like, okay, now it's time. But we have to get to a place where we forgive that person. We release them from what they've done. We release the resentment. We release all the things, everything. We release it. And we forgive ourselves for maybe how we contributed to it. Because here's the thing, family. We all contribute. We all contribute to relationships. It's a two-way street. Two of us. There's two people that go into relationships. So there's not ever a person that's ultimately at fault, right? If I'm in a relationship with somebody, we created this dynamic. We're both responsible for the dynamic on the other side. I'm not, he's not, I can't say, ooh, 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 or he can't say, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, there might be one person that might be a little bit more at fault than the other, but we created this dynamic. There's two people that could have done better. I hate it when people go out of the breakup and they're like, it's all them. They did it. It's all my ex. They're toxic. Everybody's toxic. I'm not. Everybody I loved so well and they were just not loving. It's like, no, that's a red flag. No. You got to take responsibility in your life. You can't just let life happen. You got to take responsibility for the things that happen. That's a red flag to me. When a man tell me he didn't do nothing, oh, you've never done anything? It's always everybody else's fault? Everybody does this to you? You don't do nothing to nobody? No, you're lying. You're lying. What you have to do is take responsibility for yours and let it go. Let it go. We've all done things. We all have contributed to the dynamic. Okay. So forgiving yourself and forgiving that person is incredibly important in moving on, right? Because if not, we're going to be holding on to this energy and it just blows up in the future, right? So then we have that. So that plays into attracting the same pain. In that time frame between the relationship that I was really hurt about and when I got therapy, I was in 2 other relationships. I was terrible in those relationships. Let's be very clear. So I broke up with that person like 21. I got into therapy at like 24, 25, right? So in the 2 relationships I was in, I was not good. I was not good. I was toxic. I was toxic. I ain't gonna lie to you now. I was toxic. I was toxic. And I'm being honest with you, right? Because I had not resolved my stuff. So I was easily triggered. I thought everybody was capable of doing the same thing, right? And so I was toxic. I was problematic. And guess what? Yes, God humbled your girl. Sam needed some humbling, and he did that. And I thank God for that. I thank God that he humbled me. I needed to be humbled. I was humble, but I was like one of those people that like try to put on this bravado, but he took me right back down to earth. You know, I needed that. And I'm thankful. I'm so thankful for that. But you attract the same pain. So that's really what it comes down to. You attract the same type of pain. And that's what I did. Because I was not healed. I was still very, very broken. And because I was very broken, I was attracted to the same type of pain. Right? And I wasn't necessarily getting the same type of men, but I was creating the same type of dynamic because I had not healed. Right? And so I was showing up as a very, very broken version of myself. And that was inexcusable, right? I needed to take that time to really heal and really take that time for me. Now, I think men do this a lot as well, right? Because they don't, they go into relationships and they haven't healed from their past. They just move on to the next. They move on to the next situation. It's like, no, you need to stay by yourself. And you need to kind of resolve and understand that was her. What happens is when we're in pain, family, we can't differentiate her from everyone else or him from everyone else. So I know people are in pain when they say all women did this. All women, women. Or women that say all men, every man, all men are dogs, all men are this, all men are that. No, the people you've chosen have done that. So how do we, and that goes to our first point, attracting the same pain. Everybody you've chosen has done that. So what are you choosing that's bringing about the same result? I can't say every man in the world is toxic if I keep choosing toxic men. That means I keep choosing toxic men. That doesn't mean every man is toxic. That means I'm attracted to toxic. So what part of me is attracted to toxic? That's what I have to get to. Okay? We can't be blaming other people for our choices. We can't be blaming other people for the decisions that we decide to make. Because there's one thing, we can attract a whole bunch of different things. I can attract a whole bunch of different men, right? But the men I entertain, I'm responsible for. The men that I end up dating, the men I end up, going out and seeing and dating, those are the men I'm responsible for. I made those choices. What type of men am I giving my time to? What type of men am I allowing in my space and in my presence? Are these wise decisions? Right? That means that that's a me thing. That's a problem with me. That's not them. And so that's what I notice when people say these different things. They say, oh, all this or all that. No, you now have to take responsibility for you. Maybe we need to do something a little different next time. Maybe we need to be attracted to a different type of woman or a different type of man. Maybe you're attracted to one type of woman and you're like, you know what? This really hasn't done it for me. Maybe I need to do something different next time. Maybe a different, something's different. Because whatever I was doing before wasn't working. So that's just what I'm saying. We don't want to attract the same type of pain. And that comes down to us understanding our frequency. And if we have not healed, if we have not forgiven, if we have not forgiven ourselves and forgiven the other person, we're attracting a certain frequency, right? And we're entertaining a certain frequency. Really, that's what I'm holding you accountable for. What are you entertaining? And now, if you're entertaining, and we know, men, we can be honest here. You entertaining not the best you can do? Is that fair to say? We entertaining low-hanging fruit? That might mean that that's the frequency you are right now. And that's okay. We just got to get better. We can't stay there, right? We can't stay in that place because it's comfortable. We do have to grow. We don't grow in comfort zones. We do have to grow. Purpose is on the other side of growth. So, anyway, I don't want to belabor that point. Number 2 is the self-sabotage. So I think a lot of people, because they're holding on to pain, they can push away healthy. They see, let's say you a guy on here, you meet a woman and she's everything. I mean, her energy, her vibe, she's gorgeous, she's this, she's that. And you're like, I don't know. I like her, but... And like deep down inside, it's a you thing. You and you are having a problem because you met a woman that you would ultimately, that this is like top of the line. This is top food chain. Okay. Right. I gotta paint the picture for y'all. You met a woman that you feel like is something for you or whatever. Man, I'm so congested. Oh my gosh. But like, it's like, okay. But because of your pain, you self-sabotage because you don't want to get hurt again. This is somebody that you would ultimately could probably see yourself in the future with, but you push her away. And I think at a certain point, you should. Like if you haven't went through that year's time by yourself. But after that year's time by yourself or where you feel like you are in a better space, you can't just stay on the beach looking at the water. Right? You can't just stay there. There has to be growth. There has to be progression, especially if you desire something more. Don't allow your past pain, which is the whole point of this live. This is the year of Jubilee. This is the year of renovation and renewal. This is a year that we get in the water. We don't just keep looking at the water. If you've been in a phase of just not being dating or not being in relationships for a year and you feel like you've done a lot of work in that time, get in the water. Get in the water. I know it's comfortable. I know it's easier. I know it's like, I don't get hurt here. But it's time for you to get in the water. Because deep down inside, you want to get in the water. You dream of getting in that daggone water. But fears was holding you back. And I say this all the time. Fear is not a reason to do anything. Fear is not a reason to stay, and fear is not a reason to go. All right, let's get it. So self-sabotage, sabotaging relationships, sabotage relationships, yeah. Hold on to pain can cause you to react in ways that push away healthy relationships. Number 3, generational cycles, unforgiveness can create unhealthy family dynamics that get passed down. So we don't want to, y'all, I have a daughter. Y'all may have some kids, y'all may not have kids. It's fine. You don't, if you do have I'm speaking for myself. Let me just speak for me. I have a baby. I don't want to just be dating around. That's why I don't date around. It's just not my thing, not what I want. You know, I don't do that. I'm very intentional about where I put my time, right? So, because if I am going to bring somebody to her at some point, I will bring somebody to her. I wanted to be somebody that I thought about, somebody that I knew I was choosing from the best place of me, right? That's what I wanted. And so I don't want to create a generational cycle where she's accustomed to a mom being single and she thinks it's normal to be a single mom. That's not what I want for her. That's not what I want for her. I was raised by my dad and my stepdad. I want my daughter to have a man in her life that she sees me with, because I want her to see that as, okay, this is normal for me. This is what I do as a woman. That's why I'm very careful. She don't see me with nobody until it's the right person that I will, introduce that dynamic to. I don't want that for her. And I think that's the thing that we have to understand, family. Our generation is creating that to be, is normalizing that. Normalizing the broken home dynamic. Normalizing that we just not married and just living. That's not a dynamic we want to normalize, because that's the dynamic that keeps us at the bottom, right? That's what keeps us at the bottom. A bunch of broken homes. That's what culture wants to see in our community. Broken homes. That's what they've been perpetuating for generations upon generations. That's why it's been that way. We want to break that cycle. We're cycle breakers. Just because everybody else in your community did it, just because maybe your mama and your daddy did it, that doesn't mean you do it, right? You break cycles. You break cycles. And that's what you do. We don't just stay in a cycle because that's what culture tells us to do. No. Like I said before, y'all, the most married people in America, the most married race in America are the richest. There's a reason for that. The least married are the poorest. There's a reason for that. So at the end of the day, I know that we don't like this. I know people don't want to hear me say this, but it's true. Right? We're being pushed an agenda. And we have to be smart. We have to think outside the box. Think outside the box. Why would that be the case? Why? I don't know. All right. Spiritual stagnation. When you refuse to let go, you limit what God can do in your life. That's the last part of that one. And I have some little takeaways. But when you refuse to let go, I said this on the last live. I finished it. Which was that God forgives us with the same measure we forgive other people. If you have not forgiven someone else, God holds you accountable. There's a parable in the Bible where there was a king and there was a man who had a debt to the king. And he threw the man in jail and everything. This guy begged and the king let him go. Well, when he went back and he got free, There was somebody that owed him money, and he gave them no mercy. The king heard about it, brought him back and said, I pardoned your debt, and your debt was 10 times the amount of this person's debt. But you're not going to pardon their debt? That's how God sees it. He's forgiven us for so much. And yet we are unwilling to forgive others. And so he forgives us with the same measure that we put to other people. If you want to inhibit your prayer life, if you want to inhibit your connection with God, keep unforgiveness. Keep unforgiveness. It says in the Bible that definitely blocks our ability to hear God and have the connection with God that we desire. All right. So how do you break free? How do we break free? How do we break free? Breaking free, forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling. Choose to release them daily if needed. I know that in the past that even though I didn't feel like I forgave, I still forgave. I was like, God, I forgive them. I forgive them. I forgive them. I forgive them. As often as every day, as often as I felt it, every time I felt angry, every time I felt, if something new came up, I forgive. Like I was so intentional at one point to forgive, like just every single time, just to drop it, forgive. And that's very hard to do. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it was something that I really, really needed to do because it set me free. Right. And so it's not about how you feel. When I said I forgave them, I didn't feel like I had forgiven them, but I was forgiving them with out of the mouth, your heart speaks, right? As a man thinketh, so is he. I was positioning myself to forgive. My feelings had to catch up, but I was making the decision to forgive, right? And so choose to release them daily if needed. If you need to forgive them 8 times in that day, forgive. All right, focus on your own healing, not waiting for their remorse. Very, very good one. Focus on you getting through it. Not them being sorry, not them groveling and saying, I'm so sorry, please take me back. Like, when is that going to happen? I want them to say sorry. I want them to recognize what they did to me. Like, no. Your forgiveness is not contingent upon their sorry. No. The enemy's going to keep you in a chokehold then because he already know. He know you're waiting on a sorry that you're never going to get. So he's going to keep prolonging the sorry because he wants to keep you in a chokehold. No. Whether they say sorry or they don't, you let it go. Period. You don't just sit around waiting for, I just want them to say sorry. I want them to want me back. And then no, that's about you having control. That's about you having control and getting your revenge. And that's not what this is about. This is about you relinquishing control and getting back control of your own life. Let it go. Let it go. That doesn't help you, family. It's an illusion of control that you really don't have. It's an illusion that you're paying into. It's an illusion that you're spending time and money when you could be blocking your ability to meet somebody of quality. You waiting for this sorry. You waiting for this moment where you just have all the power. That's control. You're not going to get that. You're going to get that when you don't want it anymore. Guaranteed. When you don't want it anymore, when you ain't tripping about whether you get a sorry or not, that's when you get it. And when I say you don't care anymore, it's not that you say you don't care. You genuinely don't care anymore. Let God be the judge. Vengeance belongs to him, not you. In Romans 12, and y'all have probably heard me say this a million times. Do not seek revenge. Instead, leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, as mine to avenge, I will repay. says the Lord. When your enemy's hungry, you feed them. When they're thirsty, you give them something to drink. And doing this, you heap burning coals on your head. You do not overcome evil by doing evil. You overcome evil by doing good. You overcome evil by doing good. What does that mean? That means that God is your vindicator. And I did a post about this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. A lot of us feel like we would be the best vengeance. We know exactly what to do to hurt somebody. We're going to put all our energy into being petty and doing little spiteful things to hurt them the way they hurt us. And you end up just hurting yourself because you're staying tied to something emotionally that no longer serves you. You're just adding time to the clock for what? What's the point? Let God handle it. God is going to teach him in ways you never could. God is the best teacher. Let God teach. You focus on purpose, let God teach. But you can't be focused on purpose, staying mad at your ex for what they did to you. You can't pursue what God has called you to pursue when you so fixated on what happened to you. That you just stuck in pain and unable to move. No, we rebuke and bind that in the name of Jesus. We casting that thing out. Vengeance belongs to him. And it's actually better that way. It's actually better that way. He's going to work it out in a way you never could. He's going to allow the people that need to know who you are, know. Vengeance belongs to him, not you. Last one, which is probably one of the hardest ones. But it's the one that I feel like has helped me get free the most. It's praying for the person. Shifting your heart from bitterness to true freedom. Praying for the person has helped me more than anything to heal. Because my heart posture, as I was praying, God was fixing my heart. Fixing my healing. Fixing my vision. Allowing the scales to come off my eyes and to see this for what it was. Sometimes we get so caught up in all this other stuff and getting the apology and the pain you were in and all this other stuff. And when we're obedient to God and we pray for our enemies, because that's what we're called to do, there's a freedom you get. I'm saying that from the other side of it. Right? Praying for that person. Letting it go. Releasing it. There was so much freedom in that. Because I could see clearly. And in the time of me praying, my feelings went away. People have asked me this a million times. How did you do this? Da, da, da. It's because I prayed. I let God heal my heart. I prayed. I did what he told me to do, and he did it. Healing is the best revenge anyway. Healing, leveling up, glowing up, that is the best revenge. We want to cause them pain by causing them pain. No, you might cause them pain. What does the Bible say? Psalms 23. It says, you prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. He's saying that in the presence of your enemies. No. I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to make sure they're in close proximity so they see your elevation, so they see you going to the next level, so your ex can see you marry that next very bad chick that she can't even deny. She's a bad one. You going to give her nightmares with the next one, boy. She going to be like, what did I do? What did I do? I don't let this man go, and here he is leveling up with a new woman that looks like that. Oh, no, this is devastating. Okay? It's about you glowing up, getting to the next level, not staying in this toxic space. Some of y'all just I'm just going to be here and be angry and be mad. You think that that's going to make them want you more? No, when you at peace and you've moved on and you got a whole new situation going on, that's what makes a woman sick. That's what makes a man sick, is to see you move on and be happy without them. That's how you win. When you actually decide, I'm going to keep living my life despite what has happened to me. Some of y'all just stay in pain And you think that that's going to teach them any lesson about you? You think that's going to make your ex want you back? No. That's just going to keep validating her decision by you living in that pattern and you living in that way of life. When you start leveling up and you start making decisions and she sees you actually moving on, that's what makes her mad. That's what gets to them. That's what shows them what they lost. Not you living in a player way of life. That's just making her say to herself, see, I knew he was a player. I told y'all he couldn't be for nobody. Oh, I told y'all, look, look what he doing, he's swimming in the streets. I told y'all, he ain't no good for nobody. Yeah, you're just validating what she said you were anyway. You're just giving her more reasons to feel the way she feel about you. When you decide to do something different, when you decide to level up and glow up, when you decide to move on, that's when you really do something to the past. That's when you do it. Some of y'all are holding on thinking that that's going to teach people. No, it doesn't teach people anything. It just further validates what you're just giving them more reasons for why they felt the way that they felt about you. Let go. Let God forgive, heal. Family, move on. Move on. Not you move on physically, but your head and your heart is still with the last person. No, move on as a whole, as a unit. Accept the things you've done. Accept and learn from the things you could have done better and move on. Don't allow anybody or anything to keep you stuck in what God has removed you from. I'm going to leave you guys with the story, and then, I'll let you guys, I'll tell you what happens on Wednesday. But in the Bible, it talks about how Saul was, after being drunk off of his own ambition, Saul ends up losing his anointing as king. God's done with it. Saul kind of moving to the beat of the people's drum versus God's drum. And God's like, I can't trust his heart. I have to go ahead and I have to find another king. And Samuel, the prophet, was the one who anointed Saul. Well, when God told Samuel that Saul was no longer going to be king, Samuel was devastated. He didn't know what to do. He was just like, what, God? What? No. Don't live. Like just doing all this stuff, right? Emotional. Because he had a personal attachment to Saul because he anointed him. And God says, now I want to actually quote it correctly. Hopefully it comes up. I don't know if it's going to come up, y'all. How? I'm going to find it. 1 second. Come on. And we'll see how long it takes. Hopefully it. In 1 Samuel 16:1, it says, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing as I've rejected him from reigning over Israel? He said, how long will you mourn, seeing as I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I'm sending you to Jesse the Bethlehemite. He said, how long will you mourn it? How long will you mourn what I've removed? I've removed that relationship. I've removed that situation from your life. How long will you allow yourself to stay in a state of mourning for what I have removed? The reasons I've removed it may be yet to be determined, or you're starting to see the true colors. The true colors of the person that you were once with, that you wanted so badly. And now you've seen a different side and you're wondering, like, this person used to be like this. Now they like that. God's like, see, this is why I had to remove them. There were conversations I heard that you didn't. There was things that I knew that you didn't. And you have to trust my discernment in that I'm sovereign in what I allow to stay and what I tell to go. You would have never left that relationship if she didn't leave it, if she didn't remove herself. You would have never left it. You would have stayed in this holding pattern with a situation that was beneath you. I love you too much to do that. So I'm not going to allow you to stay in something that I have now removed? How long will you decide to mourn what I have removed? And then what did he say? I got your next assignment. You over here mourning the past. I need you to wake up. Your next assignment just showed up. There's a King David that's in a field right now that I need you to go and anoint his head with oil. You done mourn long enough. It's time to move on. That's the message for someone tonight. You've been mourning long enough. You've stayed in this pattern of behavior long enough. You've stayed stagnant long enough. You've allowed this fear of vulnerability to inhabit you and keep you suppressing emotions that God has given you to feel. It's time for you to say, how long will you mourn what I have already rejected? I rejected her for you. I rejected him for you. That's why they're not here right now. I need you to understand that I saw things that you did not see. I heard conversations that you were not privy to, and I had to remove them from you because I know your loyal heart wouldn't have chosen to leave. I know your loyal heart wouldn't have chosen to leave. So I removed them from you. I know you wanted to stay. I know you wanted the relationship to work. I know you wanted the marriage to work. I know you wanted these things. But God is saying, how long? How long you gonna mourn this thing? How long we gonna stay in this holding pattern? I have better for you. There's a promised land with your name on it. There's purpose tied to your life. There's purpose tied to your legacy. I'm not going to allow you to keep in this place. How long will you mourn? How long will you mourn what I have rejected? How long? Choice is yours, family. God's rejected that situation for you. And we're in 2025. Jubilee year. Jubilee year. Year of restoration and renewal. How long will you mourn what I have removed? How long? All right? All right, family. I love you guys so much. I will be coming back live on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to be talking about how to thrive during the Valentine's Day holiday if you are single. Okay? So tune in. I had a lot of questions about how to deal with being single on Valentine's Day. And so I am going to give you some tips, some pointers on how to own your Valentine's Day. Okay? How do you thrive on Valentine's Day when you're single? And so we'll talk about that on Wednesday. I don't know what day that is. I think that's the 13th. We will be talking about that. I'll be answering more of your questions. I forgot to get those questions, screenshot them and have them ready for you. So I'll be doing that for the hot topics portion of the show next week. On Wednesday. All right. I love you guys. I think you guys are amazing. I hope you guys have an amazing night. And I will see you guys on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Okay? Love you guys. Talk to you soon. And thank you to everybody that contributed to the Cash App and to the live. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your support. It never goes unnoticed. It means the absolute world to me. I know I get passionate at times, but it truly means a lot that you guys sow into me and believe in me. And I'm believing for greater and bigger this year. All right. So love y'all. And I will talk to you guys soon. Okay. Bye-bye.